can just continue with our.
All right. Okay.
If you want to do it that way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I can always chop the bit off the end of the front.
Okay.
I can
Are we
edit it.
filming? Are we filming this?
No. Well, look, it is late, so
All right. Okay.
that's the length of delay. So it's about 20 seconds, something like that.
Okay. Yeah. All right then.
So, right. Okay. I asked you to tell me the best. I think it was 3 things originally, but you said that.
Oh, it has to be more.
It has to be more. Best 3 things that you've ever seen at Edinburgh Fringe Festival.
Well, I mean, it's very subjective, isn't it?
We'll go alternate. So you go. I mean, are these in a particular order?
No, in no particular order.
Right.
The first on my list is the Boat Factory, which we saw about 4 or 5 years ago. It was the first thing that we saw when we got there, and we picked up some tickets, and we knew nothing about it, and it was basically based in Belfast.
That's right, Belfast Shipyard, wasn't it?
Harland and Wolff,
Yeah.
and building the Titanic.
Yeah. Hello.
And it was absolutely stunning.
Yeah, it was.
As a piece of theatre. But anyway, so that's my first, the Boat Factory.
Cool. Hi, do you want to tell us who you are? Okay. Are they going to tell us in the chat room, maybe? Anyway, we have got this delay that we need to. Right. Well, again, mine are in no particular order. Mine is from about, I think, 1985, and it was Metamorphosis. We saw it in a church hall in Edinburgh.
It was later. It was about 87 or 88. Yeah.
Yeah, you're my oracle. And it was a young lad playing Gregor Samsa. Samsa? It is Samsa, isn't it? And there was almost no staging to it at all. It was just very low key, but he was just. And I wish I'd remembered this guy's name. And I hope he became an actor, because for a young lad, and he was probably in his late teens, he was absolutely brilliant.
And I think it was in the Round.
I remember. I thought it was just in a church hall down the bottom of the Mile.
Oh, okay. I thought it was in the Round, but yeah.
So that would be that. Hey, that's my earliest one.
Right. Okay. I've got a couple that are earlier than that. My second one it was definitely called Cinderella, but it was basically Cinderella meets Mad Max, and that was in that.
I remember this.
That was in that open
courtyard, yeah.
And it really was like
Mad Max,
because they had
dune buggies and
flames, and there was a crane that had the carcass of a helicopter.
That's right.
That I think became the the carriage. I mean, it was very, very loosely based on Cinderella.
This must have been early 90s?
Yes, because
I think, if I remember rightly, it was completely sold out, but we managed to get tickets for us and
they did an extra performance,
so we managed to get some tickets.
So it was all outside.
Yeah, I remember it. And it got even more spectacular as it got darker.
Yeah. You know, it was just.
I forgot it was about Cinderella.
Yeah, well, it was called Cinderella.
Was it?
Yeah. But it was just like Mad Max in front of you, in the middle of Edinburgh.
Yeah.
In an open courtyard. It was incredible. So that's mine.
Right, my next one, and well, we should tell them what we're doing. We're just at this particular moment in time. We're just going through our favourite Edinburgh shows that we've ever seen, and we've been going to the Edinburgh Fringe since 1985, and we're going back again this year. There'll be a few tips and tricks along the way. My next one, you didn't see these, but I saw them. I think I saw them. This would have been the 80s. Consecutive years, there were Stephen Burkoff plays. One was called East and one was called West, and there were the same characters in both plays, although I think they were done by 2 different theatre companies. I know that one of them I went to, and Stephen Burkoff was there, which I was quite impressed by. But one of them, I've never heard so much bad language in such a short amount of time, because they literally, the cast came out and started swearing, effing and blinding at the audience, and they were right in our face. They were here, and it was about that threat. We had to have that sort of, and it was literally, I was second row in, and I felt threatened, but that was the point of it. And then it sort of settled down, and you got to find out all the characters. There were hooligans, but it was just absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. I haven't got this on my list, but you just reminded me when you talk about swearing. And I can't repeat the word, but I never thought that I would be so, I could listen to one particular word being used a lot.
Would it be the C word?
It was the C word, and just eventually it not bothering me because it had been said so many times.
What was that in?
That was the Ian Drury.
And
that transferred to London.
And they changed it, didn't they? They changed it, and
but
for the worse,
but
actually.
The night that we saw it, the performance we saw, because it featured Buster.
No, not Buster.
Not
Spider? Was it Buster? I thought it was Spider.
Buster.
Anyway, it was Ian Drury's Minder.
And it was all of the play feature. Well, he was in it the majority of the time. And then, to our absolute amazement, the real guy was in the audience, and he stood up. And we all clapped him.
And was it one man? It wasn't a one-man show, was it?
Why do I think he was called Buster?
I thought it was Spider. I thought it was Spider.
Oh, right, okay.
You'd have to Google the fact that who was Ian Drury's Minder.
Anyway,
And in fact, we flyed for that. We took caps and flyers and leaflets, and
because I thought it was so good.
We saw it was so good, and then they turned it down a bit with the language and all that for the London premiere. We did go in the West End, and this was way before I went to the West End. That was really good.
Yeah, that was good. So my next on my list is Doug Anthony and the All Stars.
Oh, I've got them.
All right, well, we can talk about them together.
We can.
We first came across these guys in the late 80s, and they were just doing a show. They were busking.
Yeah.
And
on the mount.
Yeah, I think so. And we went to see them several times, and it was just they were Australians.
Three guys.
They sang. They basically had conversations. There were no sketches as such. It was stand-up, sort of comedy, that type of thing. They were very, very non-PC.
Oh, very much so.
Very, very funny. And they came back. They did, was it a couple of years ago?
I think it was 2018.
18, I think. And we went to see them again, and they were just the same.
I see one of the guys, sadly, he's now in a wheelchair. Has he got MS?
I think it was MS, yeah.
And,
in fact,
they
tell you.
His colleagues took the piss out of his MS. It was very non-PC. I mean, one of the times that we went to see them, it wasn't a very big venue, and there was probably only about 20 of us there. And they took us outside. They had us out, and it was on Cowgate in Edinburgh, outside, one of them playing a guitar, and us all singing along. It was bonkers. They were absolutely great.
Which is done a lot now, but then it was.
But then it
was new.
We are talking about the 1980s.
I think it was 2017 that we saw them.
Oh, what, for the last time?
For the last time. Yeah.
So they were on my list as well.
Yeah.
So my next one, and I haven't got 10.
No, I don't think I have.
But my next one is every time I've ever been to see Beck Hill.
Yeah.
And if you've never seen Beck Hill, she's another Australian comedian who lives in London now. And in fact, she's not I looked on her website today. She's not doing anything. Hiya. And that is, I mean, is she?
Oh, I see.
Yes,
Oh,
I'm trying to see the name.
Oh, I see. Hello.
So Beck Hill, and she's her website says that she's just not doing any performing at all at the moment.
She's very famous for her use of her flip chart.
Oh,
so
yeah.
the flip chart always features. It's always
Yeah.
very, very clever. And the last show we saw her do, which I think was 2019.
It was. Yeah.
I won't spoil it because.
She may bring it back.
Oh dear! Can I say anything about it?
Yeah, you can. Well, you can.
Well,
Yeah,
let's just say
just
that.
don't say what the end is.
Oh well, that was a bit. It's very clever.
It's about space, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's about space.
Yeah.
And
she did have the flip chart, but she also it was a lot more sophisticated than that.
very sophisticated. Very, very clever. Well worth going to see.
And in fact, to be honest, I can't really quite remember what the.
Well, if I whisper to you and you say if I can see it. Can I say that?
No, I wouldn't say that.
No, okay,
I do
that
that.
spoils it.
So
Right,
that's a bit.
All
of
right.
a,
Okay.
That's a bit of a tease there. Sorry.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah. But yeah, and actually, even before that, I mean, we saw her in a very small room in the Gilded Balloon, and I don't think the first time we saw her there was that many people there, and it was just her and a flip chart, and she had a bottle of water, and that was it. But she was incredibly funny.
She has developed her. Yeah.
And the flip charts, she keeps going over the flip chart, but they've got movement bits in it. So she's got bits of paper with figures on, and the figures do things. So every time she turns over the flip chart, something happens to the characters that are on the page, which is really, really quite clever.
And on one level, it is very simple, but actually it isn't. It's very much more involved than that. Remember when rock? Not relevant, mate.
I can't see that. Oh, we have got.
Yeah.
A few. When rock
Do we
guitars
remember?
were
Is that because we're
on stage back in the early 70s?
Is that because we're talking about the past?
Maybe, I don't know. Actually.
Right. Okay.
Oh yeah, we've got. Sorry, apologies that we're missing some of the comments, but I've just seen them here. Raphael, is he still here? And Shigunu, hi. So anyway, yes, I can.
Right, do you want to keep an eye on those?
Yeah. What are you people on about then?
I'll recap for you.
Yeah.
We're just going through shows that we've seen in the past at the Edinburgh Fringe, because we've been going on and off since 1985, and we just thought it would be fun to talk about stuff that we've seen.
So, Susanna, do you know what the Edinburgh Fringe Festival is? It'll be about 30 seconds gap.
Right,
Before
okay.
you can come back to it.
Okay.
So, was it your turn, Martin? That was me. I was Beck Hill.
Oh yeah, you're Beck Hill. Right. Mine, I'm afraid this goes back definitely to 85 because I have it in my diary from 1985.
My interest is waning. Okay, see you. Bye bye.
Yeah. So this was a production of King Lear, which was done by the Kick Theatre. I've never forgotten about it. The way it was staged, and the director.
Just the Japanese one.
No. This was the director of the Kick Theatre then was a Deborah Warner, who then went on to become director of the National Theatre. And the staging of that King Lear I've never forgotten. So that's what's on my list.
I don't think I ever saw that.
Especially after being told that my answer is not relevant. Well, it was about electrocuting guitarists on stage.
We're talking about the Edinburgh Festival.
Yeah. So that's why I said it wasn't relevant.
Don't want an argument.
No, I know, but I don't understand. We're not talking about rock guitarists. We're not talking about electricity.
So it was like a normal production of King Lear. I don't think I was there.
Right. No, you weren't.
Yeah.
No, you weren't. It was, the year before you went.
Oh, right, okay. Yes, I'm a musician. That's why there's instruments behind me. So my next one is the Glasgow Girls. We didn't see that in 2016.
No.
The Glasgow Girls is a true story. It's a musical, true story about the way that the British government. So it's quite political. There was immigrant families coming into the UK, and they were repatriated to Scotland, mainly Glasgow, and they then decided that what they would do is they would actually get they would basically take the parents. It wasn't I don't know if they took the children, but they then started to basically put them in immigrant camps and then try and send them back, deport them to the countries where they were, But then it's not like they'd only been. These kids were growing up here, so they'd been here for 5 or 6 years. They've got friends, and they literally would do dawn raids. Now, if they ever bring that musical back, it is really, really worth seeing. It's absolutely fantastic. So what's your next one?
Yeah, well, do you want to just make
No.
sure? No, okay. Well, mine's the Reduced Shakespeare Company, which appeared at the Edinburgh Fringe before they went to London, and then they were in the theatre at Piccadilly for a long time. Not sure if they're still there. But that was the first time, or at least it was the early days of people doing things in very shortened versions. And this obviously, it says what it on the tin, as it were, Reduced Shakespeare Company, and the impact was huge seeing them for the first time. Oh.
I think we've upset somebody, but let's just ignore them.
Yeah. Right, what's your next one?
My next one is a show that we did actually go to together, but it's Two Men and a Banana.
Oh, yes.
Now, it's with two Irish comedians, very small room, very hot little room, really late show, can't remember what year it was, and the place would have sat maybe 20 or 30 people, and there was 4 of us, and 3 of us actually, no 4 of us, there was 4 of us, because there was us two, a chap and a lady, and the lady had to leave early because she had to go and get a bus because it was such a late show. But the actual guys doing their show, you'd have thought that they were actually performing to 300. They were absolutely brilliant. They did get us all to introduce ourselves to each other, which I think was the first time it's ever happened. And in fact, we went to see their other show, which was more serious. Remember? It was, they had a guy who was one.
I don't.
Well, I did. I don't know.
No, I don't think that's.
I don't remember much about it. It was, with it being Irish, it was political, about the Troubles, I think. And one of them, if not both of them, stood on a piece of turf.
And that was the same.
It's the same guys.
Same guys.
Yeah. It wasn't funny. It was their other show.
Right.
It was much more theatre than there was no
Okay.
comedy in it, actually.
Okay. Right, fair enough. I can see this one's on your list as well.
What's that?
Trevor.
Oh no, that's from the other day.
I see.
So
Okay. Is Trevor on your list?
Well, yes, but yeah, he is. But
This guy, Trevor Locke, we've been to see him 3-4 times, maybe 5. He's there again this year. He's on our list of shows that you should go and see. It's how would you describe it? It's
not. It's funny.
It's
there's no jokes in it.
It's improvised, but when I say it's improvised, basically the audience are very, very much part of what goes on. It's
a very simple idea.
It's a very simple idea, very effective. It's directed by Trevor, and obviously everyone is different because the audience is different every time. there is some structure to it, and
He's like a school teacher.
and it's sort of the comedy comes out of the situations that occur within the room at the time.
Because he gets people to actually, he hands out notebooks and pens and gets people to
They write observations.
an observation.
And then from time to time they have to read it
Read
out.
out,
And
yeah.
of course,
That in itself is really funny.
yeah, people's interpretation of situations is different to other people's perceptions. Very funny. Very funny.
My next one, I mean, there is, have you got socks down?
No, I haven't got socks down. I
No,
should
I
have
haven't got socks down either, but we should always mention the Scottish falsetto sock company. No, theatre. I'll start that again. Scottish falsetto sock puppet theatre, to give it its full title, which is a one-man show with two hands and two puppets, and it's like Eric and Ernie, but they're sock puppets. It's usually on quite late, and it's definitely not puppets for children. It's puppets for adults.
Yeah.
There is a little bit of swearing, and sometimes it's a bit rude, but it's very, very funny.
Yeah. And there's always a theme.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing two shows this year at Edinburgh Fringe. We mentioned this in our previous video, but you should always, and he does tour up and down the country. If he comes to anywhere near you, go see him, because he is absolutely brilliant. But like I say, that wasn't, I hadn't written down that. Hi guys, do you know anything about when? Hi guys, do you know anything about
No.
when we'll release Spider-Man No Way Home trailer? Sorry, don't. I don't watch Spider-Man, but I don't watch superhero movies either.
No.
But hey ho. Next one from back to you again, because
Is
I
it me again?
did socks. Really.
Yeah, this is we saw a production of Orlando, which I think there's been a film with Tilda Swinton in, but this was a stage production, and I'm sorry, I haven't been able to locate the woman that played the lead, but it is a well-known play, but it was just the fact that she's on stage, she is the only person on stage, and it's just a tour de force of a production in her performance, in the story, and I was just blown away by it.
Yeah, I was in contact with the director, because it's quite a small theatre company. There's her and him and a couple of other people in the whole company. It's a very small, and they are still doing productions.
It was.
So it would have been 2018 or 2019.
It was. Yeah, in fact, it was 2018. Yeah.
But it was. I mean, it was, and again, it's one of these things that it was mid-morning, wasn't sold out.
No.
There wasn't a huge amount. It was a reasonably small audience, but it was actually quite a stunning piece of theatre.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it was.
My next one was it's something called Johnny Callahan. Johnny Callahan.
Oh, yeah.
Who's Your Daddy? Now this we saw. It had the worst poster in the world, and that was a poster of Johnny. It's a one-man show, and it was Johnny, and he was a pregnant man, topless, wasn't he? Showing a big pregnant belly.
We
were turned off by the poster, really.
Yeah.
And I think we were offered some tickets, and it was a big theatre, big room. It would have held 200 easily.
Yeah.
And there was probably less than 10 of us there. It was a late night show, and it was a true story about how he.
It was autobiographical.
adopted a boy from, I can't remember which country it was in. Was it? Anyway, he adopted this boy, and the story was about how he adopted his son, and it was just absolutely brilliant. And it should have had packed houses, but it didn't. And we managed to see the director and him flying and had a conversation with him.
We did.
Told him how put off by the post we
Yeah.
were, but actually we told a lot of people about it, and hopefully he would have picked up.
Yeah. It was. We're very pleased we saw it in the end.
Any more? Got more?
No.
Right. No, I haven't got. Oh, what's the worst thing you've ever seen? Well, I know what the worst thing I've ever seen is.
Yeah. Well, in fact, she's in here, and then she.
I wasn't going to name you. Is it the same?
Oh yes. Well, I'm sorry, I've got to. Well.
Okay.
We did discuss this. We don't.
No.
It's not work. It's the thing that we didn't like.
And I got quite a bit of trolling over this.
Yeah.
I was going to name it. I was just going to say it just was ill-conceived, really. The show was called, and we can say what the show was called, and anybody who wants to find out what it was. The show was called The Worst, and I think all I did, we refused to review it, but I did tweet and said, so-and-so, the show The Worst really is, and that's all I'd said. But I got a massive amount of trolling from clearly her friends for several days. But that's the internet.
We don't leave many shows, but we did leave that one.
In fact, somebody else had sent me a message saying that they'd done it. They actually stuck it out to the end, and they said it didn't get any better. The funniest thing we ever left.
Oh no, I know. Yes.
Is I'm going to let you tell the story because I've told it before. We went to see something called Indiana Jones and the Pantomime Horse. This was in 2010, and I really wasn't enjoying it. And 15 minutes in, I leant over to you and said, I think I'm gonna leave.
Yeah.
And what did you do?
Well, I managed to persuade you to stay a little bit longer,
You did,
and then it got to a point where I felt I couldn't stay either, and so I got up and said, knowing that you wanted to leave too, and so I left. You followed me, but unbeknownst to me, I exited via the wings, so we ended up on backstage, which was very embarrassing because we were just leaving the show. And luckily, there was a door and it was open and it did take us out. But it was very embarrassing to the extent that I used to cross over the road because every time we walked past the theatre, it used to remind me how embarrassing it was.
Well, if it doesn't remind Jane now, I take great pleasure in always reminding Jane.
Yes, you do.
That's the place where we
Yes,
all
you do.
So
You do.
it is one of my little joys. And it was pretty dire, really, from our point of view.
Well, anyway, we left. We felt we needed to leave.
Yeah. I don't have any more shows, so
No.
So we agree. Actually, we agree on what the worst show is because I already picked the worst.
The worst.
Yeah, as my worst ever show, really.
Yeah.
Although there was one thing that, as we said in the previous video, we don't very rarely do we walk out things. We did walk out of a show a couple of years ago, but that was mainly because it was really uncomfortable what we were asked to sit on. Remember? And actually, we both got bad backs, so we literally couldn't have sat there for an hour, and actually we just weren't engaged with it, really.
No.
And I'm sure that people would have maybe enjoyed it, but we couldn't sit on. Was it beanbags? It wasn't beanbags.
No, there
it was
was
a bench, wasn't it?
There were small stools.
Small stools. We were asked to sit on small stools for an hour, which just didn't work for us
No.
really. I have just thought of something else which I thought was really brilliant, and I'm not even sure if I remember the title of it. It was a couple of years ago, it might be 19 or 18. That was the Dealey Derbyshire.
Yeah,
thing.
that was cool. That was 19.
So it was a
The
play
last time.
about the electronic music artist Dealey Derbyshire, and it was a one-woman show with with a chap playing live electronic music in the style of Dealey Derbyshire, and it was just absolutely brilliant.
And I cannot put my finger on it, but it is here somewhere. Oh, actually, maybe it was 2018 because I've seen it. Hymns for Robots.
Hymns for Robots, yeah. And in fact, we've recently watched a TV drama documentary about Dealey Derbyshire's life, which was really, really good. You know.
It was.
So I didn't add that to my list, but that was it. What else have I got? The only other thing I have... Oh, yeah. I don't know if you're going to go to Edinburgh Fringe. I don't know if there's going to be a half-price hut on the mount this year, because there normally is. And the BBC are going to be there, and they're somewhere called High School Yard. Now, the last couple in 2019, which was obviously the last time the Edinburgh Fringe was on, there was a bit of a problem with the way that the BBC did their shows. What they do is they might have some comedy shows on, or they'll run some of their radio shows. So you can actually go to. Hiya.
Says hello from Turkey.
Oh, hello from Turkey. Hiya. We're in England. So the way that the BBC did this last time was that you registered for tickets, and then you were told you got tickets.
The sound is scratching.
Oh, that's interesting.
Okay.
I'll try and turn it up a bit actually. Is that any better?
Hope that's better.
So you got a ticket for a show by the BBC at Edinburgh Fringe, and then we turned up with a load of other people, and what the BBC always do is they oversubscribe. So what they don't tell you is to get there really early, and a lot of us were not allowed in to see the show, which caused quite a lot of people were very, very upset, and I had a discussion with a producer, and he was justifying that that's the way that the BBC did it. Now, the reality is that most of the shows for the BBC this year at Edinburgh Festival Fringe are the same, in the fact that you have to apply for tickets, you then get told you've got a ticket, but you might have a ticket and you might not have a seat.
There's a crackling sound from the mic.
Oh, that's interesting. I can unplug the external mic and not use it and see if that's any better. Thanks for that. That's just using the iPad mic. I've taken we've got an external mic. See if that's it probably might not be as good. But anyway, what was I saying? Yes, so if you're going to come to Edinburgh Festival Fringe and you've got tickets for the BBC shows, and like I said, currently now most of them are sold out. I looked today and there was only 3 or 4 shows that you could still actually take tickets for. Be aware that you might not get a seat.
You need to get there very early, basically.
Yeah. It did say something on the website that they're going to have an area with a screen so you could watch the show.
Okay.
So that might be a way around
better.
it. But actually, I just think the BBC should. I said this in 2019. If you've got an auditorium which will seat 100 people or 200 people, then you book 200 seats, and you don't overbook it by 50 or 70, which was happening in 2019.
Yeah, unfortunately, the BBC justify it by saying, well, that's how they've always done it.
Yeah. And we were not impressed. I mean, and we were, people were getting very angry with this producer from the BBC. And, we were witness to some of,
You just have to be aware of it.
Yeah.
It's not a guarantee. Even if you get a ticket, you're not guaranteed to get in.
Yeah.
Sadly.
We're not going to any of the BBC shows
No.
because of that, really. It's not really...
Well, it's difficult if you're, you've set that aside as time to see a show, and then you turn up and you've got a ticket, but you still can't get in.
Yeah.
It just means you've wasted maybe...
Well, you waste the morning. Because it's usually a morning or an afternoon, so you waste that time.
So...
And if I remember rightly, we were there we weren't there right at the beginning, because I think one chap said they were queuing from 8 o'clock or something to get in, which seemed a bit daft, really, when you've got a ticket.
Anyway.
So just be aware of that, really. I have had a message from a chap on... I've lost it now. Keith. I know Keith. And he's going to Edinburgh Fringe, and his message says, "Hi Ian, that show Cops," he means the Police Cops show. It says it's an hour long and will start at 6:45. Will it start and finish on time? Usually. Only we want to book an Indian. Now, some shows tell you to, and they actually, because there's two Police Cop shows. He's actually talking about the in-person one.
Right, okay.
Because I checked the start time, because he says the start time was 6:45, and that's the start of
and how long does it say the show is?
It's an hour. Right. So it's the Police Cops. Was it Badass something or other?
I don't know without looking at...
did I write it down? Yeah. The show is actually Police Cops Badass Be Thy Name, on the 16th to the 19th at the Assembly George Street Gardens. Now, some shows tell you to get there at least 50 minutes before. Some shows won't allow you to in if you're late.
Hey?
What? Okay.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, well, okay. And the... is that because I sort of said Korean, I said an Indian, which is what the message said.
Oh.
Is that what I think that's?
I don't know. Did you repeat what
I just repeat what the message said. Yes, I did.
Yeah, right, okay.
So that's...
So we apologise.
Apologise for that.
We just repeated...
We were just repeating what
a
question that we were given. Hi, John. Oh, hello, John from Dublin. We're in England. We're in Yorkshire. We're just about to wind up, unless you've got any questions about Edinburgh Festival Fringe, which we've been talking about for the last... How long have we been going? 45 minutes. So I'm just answering a question that we've had via Facebook. So you need to get to shows early, or at least 10 minutes in advance. Shows will normally try and finish on time purely and simply because there'll be another show, and the turnaround time for each shows are quite quick. But having said that, we've been to shows where we've had to, they've run late. I wasn't, but I'm quite...
No. Sadly, we're not here for that.
Well, tonight is about Love Island's about to start.
Right. No.
Maybe I could do that some other time. This is a Cork 700. So a show they'd normally try and make a show finish on time, but they do sometimes run late. If it starts late, it's going to run late. Is there anything else that you want?
No, I mean it will last once it's started, and rarely do they start late.
Yeah,
it will run for the allotted time.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Well, we won't be watching Love Island, John, because it's not really
No,
our
enjoy.
thing. But we hope you enjoy. Hope you enjoy it. Shall we call it a night?
Yes. I
Okay.
think so.
So thanks so much for watching. It's gone.
All right. Okay.
It's just. It must be 9 o'clock, is it? Oh, it's 10 past.
10 past
10
nine,
past
I
9.
don't know.
So thanks so much for watching. Oh, yeah. Oh, he's back.
All right.
So
Oh, yeah,
see you
okay,
again.
see you again.
Sorry, I thought you'd gone, John. So thanks very much. See you again.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So thanks so much for watching, and we're going to be trying to do this from Edinburgh, this streaming, because this has been a bit of an experiment, really. We may do a roundup of the things that we've seen, or try that sort of thing. We might not do it every day, but we will be doing videos from Edinburgh. So we'll be doing reviews, because we're going as accredited Fringe reviewers. So we will be reviewing most, if not all, of the shows that we see at Edinburgh, starting later on this week. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you again. Cheers now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.